Hi Mike, Dave here.
Hi David.
We're just at the airport, Omar, Nikita and I, waiting for takeoff to fly to Cuba.
Right.
And
So that's exciting. You've managed to get the money together.
just maxed out on the credit card pretty well, but yeah, we've got the money. I've got $3,000 Australian strapped to my waist in the money belt with US dollars and euros to be able to pay for our way on the ground in Cuba. Small bills of US dollars and euros. Won't go very far, believe you me. You got to take US dollars cash or euros cash and trade it on the black market in order to be able to pay your way as we travel around Cuba. If I were a rich man, all day long I wouldn't have to work a stitch. Instead I'm a bloody Indo filmmaker. I have to work my ass off to be able to get this money.
Donald Trump has described Cuba as being in deep trouble, warning the Caribbean island nation could face an unfriendly United States takeover. Washington has effectively imposed an oil blockade on Havana since January, starving the communist government and its people of electricity and fuel. It's led to UN warnings of a worsening humanitarian crisis.
Trump and co have worked that no one can trade or pay for anything in currency outside of Cuban pesos, which is another way of his dastardly plan to break the spirit of the Cuban people and the Cuban government. And aside from the oil embargo they've placed on them after the invasion of Venezuela.
Donald Trump claiming Cuba is ready to fall without Venezuelan support.
In Havana, I don't want to be pessimistic, but I am realistic. 2026 is going to be tough, very tough, but we have to keep fighting.
For decades, Cuba has endured US sanctions and trade embargo, but Venezuela's oil, which meets around half of Cuba's current energy shortfall, has helped keep the lights on.
Between Trump and Marco Rubio, it has always been about the country's economy. The blockade we've had for who knows how many years, more than 60 years, so they're not going to rest.
We're going for about 4 to 5 weeks, and depending upon what unfolds with Trump, Hegseth and Rubio and co, we'll play it by ear about when we come back.
Yeah, you have a nice one. How are you? So how are you?
Good, thanks.
Let's grab your passport. Yeah, cheers, thank you.
As Washington continues to boost its military hardware, Tehran insisting it will have a proposed nuclear deal ready in the next few days.
So what is the latest on fuel coming into Cuba?
Very little, Mike. They've obviously stopped it from Venezuela months ago after the invasion and bombing of Caracas and kidnapping Maduro. The Mexican government was trying to send oil, but Trump immediately said, if you send oil to Cuba, then we're going to increase your tariffs radically on your exports to us, the United States. So they pulled back. They have been sending a little bit of humanitarian aid, but it's only token.
Witnesses say it was like night turned to day as fire billowed from oil depots and lit up the sky of the Iranian capital. Israel bombing several energy complexes across Tehran, saying they served the military. Boulevards lined with flames from the oil spilling out. An airport struck too.
It sounds pretty dastardly. A week ago, not quite, there was a riot in one of the country towns of Cuba where a building was set on fire because people are so pissed off with the blackouts and not having any electricity at all. Can you imagine what it's like? The kids can't catch buses to school because there's no diesel or petrol for the school buses. The hospitals are only operating under extreme emergency operations with doctors holding torches to be able to carry out the operations.
Today, he boasted of America's military might.
And our military is more powerful than ever before, and we're just respected all over the world. Like I would say, we have maybe never been, but certainly not for many decades.
That military continuing its build-up in the region, with cargo planes, attack aircraft, and more than 35,000 personnel now stationed on the ground for a possible strike.
The United States has called for new leadership in Cuba as the Caribbean nation's fuel and economic crisis deepens. On Monday, a widespread blackout triggered by a US oil blockade left millions of residents without power. President Trump says Cuba was in very bad shape and the country is in talks with the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio.
Suffice it to say that the embargo is tied to political change on the island. The embargo is codified. But the bottom line is their economy doesn't work, so they're in a lot of trouble. And the people in charge, they don't know how to fix it.
That's the plan by Rubio, who's behind all this. He's the son of a exiled Cuban couple, parents that fled Castro and Che Guevara's revolution in 1959 when they and tens of thousands of other Cubans took the country back to themselves and converted it from being a giant brothel for the mafia out of US mafia out of Florida and Miami.
We took a little excursion because we felt we had to do that to get rid of some evil. And I think you'll see it's going to be a short-term excursion.
And I don't think in the short term they will bomb Havana or Cuba, not in the short term. Their strategy is to make the country, the government scream. The reason I'm taking my kids at this time is twofold. I think it'll be safe for us to go there. Both Nikita and Omar said to me that they want to go, they want to have the adventure, they want to see Cuba before and if it falls to US domination, and that will never be the same again.
Donald Trump vows death, fire and fury if Iran blocks oil shipments as he assures the world the war will soon be over.
It's outrageous that Trump is demanding that the president of Cuba stand down like he demanded of Maduro in Venezuela, that they got the right of life over death, as it were, and to make those demands of the Cuban people. But the Cubans have been fighting the good fight for much longer than what Venezuela and Maduro and Chavez before him have been fighting it. But on the one hand, you've got the party faithful, the Communist Party cadre that are going to go to their deaths to make sure that Cuba doesn't fall prey to the United States. But you've got a lot of ordinary Cubans, like you had a lot of ordinary Venezuelans, that just want the normal things of life. They want to be able to send their kids safely to school. They want to have a roof over their heads, which they've gotten over the years from the Cuban government and so on. But at the moment, things are so harsh for them that it's really going to test the spirit of the country, and it's going to be I don't say it voyeuristically from my point of view as a filmmaker, but it's certainly going to be very interesting to see what unfolds over the next 4 or 5 weeks while we're there.
So how are you?
Good, thanks.
Let's grab your passport. Yeah, cheers, thank you.
What you're going to do to make a bloody film in support of the Cuban Revolution and provide the Cuban people to survive, do things their way, rather than to bow the knee to Trump and those bloody Yankee bastards. Look what they've done in Iran over the last couple of weeks. Look what they've done to Venezuela. Look what they've done to Vietnam. Look what they've done to Iraq. Look what they've done to Syria. Look what they've done in the West Bank and Gaza and southern Lebanon, supporting that fascist Netanyahu. Bastards.